Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Lion Lost, Felix Rex Vanilla servers, Atlas, Mutated Jurassic Outbreak servers, one original DayZ servers, Dust Vanilla servers, Sheriff Lion, and Apocalypse Now server for making this video possible. DayZ 1.21 now allows us to jump out of vehicles at high speed without getting killed instantly. So in this video we're going to look at how we take damage from jumping out of vehicles now, the items that get absolutely annihilated when we do this, the potential of escaping glitching vehicles due to these changes, and how you can jump and gun from vehicles in this patch. In the previous patch for DayZ, players would get insta-killed if jumping out of a vehicle at just 30 km per hour, with getting KO'd for 50 seconds if jumping out at a measly 15 km per hour. Now in 1.21, when travelling at 30 km per hour, you don't die and you don't go unconscious either. In fact, not much of anything happens, so you can walk away from this very easily now. Whether or not this has anything to do with the full damage changes that we saw in this patch, which are huge changes that you can see here, I'm not entirely sure, but what I do know is that you can jump out of a vehicle at 170 km per hour with no clothing on and survive with nothing but a bleed. Comparing this to last patch using this chart, 1.21 had us dying at 30 km per hour, like I said earlier, and 15 gets us KO'd. Now in 1.21, this is how much health damage you take, which is none at any speed. You do not take any health damage at all now, with shock damage KOing you at nearly 3 times the speed as last patch, around 45 km per hour. In addition to this, you could also break your leg at just 25 km per hour in the last patch from full bone health, but this is now changed to 90 km per hour, so much higher, and in some cases you don't break your leg at all, which is probably a bug. My guess is that the full damage changes that were included in this patch changed how jumping out of vehicles works too, because when you take full damage now, the items you have on you will take damage, which is also the case when it comes to jumping out of vehicles too. When taking damage from full damage, explosives inside your clothing could potentially explode if they're damaged enough already if you fall from a height higher than 3 meters in this patch. This is not the case when it comes to jumping out of vehicles. You cannot damage item attachments or items within items of clothing. However, only 3 items of clothing take light to moderate damage from full damage, whereas jumping from a vehicle, 8 pieces of clothing take extremely high amounts of damage. The amount of damage each piece of clothing takes appears to be equal across the board, taking much more damage than they do from full damage. Basically, if travelling over 100 km per hour and you jump out of a vehicle now, all 8 of these will instantly become ruined from pristine, including some of the most durable items that we can wear in the game. So this includes the vest, chest, pants, backslot item, helmet or hat, mask, gloves and shoes. All of these take extremely high amounts of damage when you jump out of a vehicle, with the amount of damage you take being increased with the speed that you jump out at. The more durable the item, the more punishment it can take from jumping out of a vehicle, with armor stat items not protecting us at all from damage, which includes helmets and vest armor, but also the new medieval armor now. If you're wearing full medieval knight armor, you would take the exact same damage as wearing no clothing at all when jumping out of a vehicle. Due to these changes, we can jump out of vehicles at high speeds to escape danger, or even shoot players when we jump out of a vehicle as long as we have a weapon in our hands. Having a weapon in your hand when you get into a vehicle will automatically put it into your hands as you're jumping out of it, allowing you to quickly raise it and to shoot players from the prone stance when you jump out. However, due to getting KO'd at around 40 km per hour when jumping out, it's best to not travel faster than this to allow you to not be knocked out when you're trying to jump out of a vehicle, because that would be quite embarrassing, or when trying to escape being shot by players when you're driving. The weapon in your hand won't take damage as you jump out, but these items will take damage, like I said earlier, remembering that items within items won't take damage, so you cannot explode yourself by jumping out of a vehicle. You also cannot detonate explosives in your clothing when you have a crash, or items inside of vehicle inventories, because they don't take damage either, so you cannot explode your vehicle into players or structures. These changes also allow us to escape desinking vehicles without getting instantly killed by the vehicle travelling more than 30 km per hour like in the last patch, making it much more likely that you will survive getting DayZ'd now. This works best when you're close to the ground. As your character leaves the vehicle, the animation will stop and then begin the full animation, and then you will take full damage from the height that you jumped out at, which will kill you if it's above 14 meters off the floor as seen here. This means if you're falling straight towards the ground, if your vehicle has somehow gone to space, it will be much more difficult for you to time exactly when you should jump out of your vehicle to get below 14 meters in full damage, but trying to time it correctly is better than the guaranteed death of remaining inside your vehicle. Now the changes that we've seen this patch to full damage have likely crossed over into the damage that we take from jumping out of vehicles, so the details in this video will probably change, as the jumping out of vehicle mechanic might have been overlooked, such as being able to jump out of a vehicle at 170 kilometers per hour and survive that somehow. However, my question to the community is, should this remain in DayZ so that it's a way to survive glitching vehicles until these vehicle glitches are fixed? Losing a vehicle sucks, but losing a vehicle and a character is much worse. I'd much rather lose a vehicle than obviously losing a character. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Finally for this video, Apocalypse Now server on Xbox is giving away a huge $500 to the winner of a base building competition. Normally I wouldn't include something like this in a video, but $500 could really help some people out there right now. Details in the description if you want to take part in that. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.